Hi, my name is Darryl Brown with Jumpstart Coaching and Development Solutions. So glad to be with you this week. We are on week number 12, the law of curiosity. Week number 12. What that means then is we have 3 weeks remaining till we get to the end of the year as well as the end of the series. We are going through John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and I really do appreciate you being with me and sticking with me through this first 12 weeks of this series. I pray that you are definitely growing. If you could just give me some comments, just kind of give me some feedback on how you are seeing results in your life and in your personal growth as you've been going with us and growing with us through this first 12 laws of growth. So like I said, this week we're going to be on law number 12, the law of curiosity. The law of curiosity says that growth is stimulated by asking why. Growth is stimulated by asking why. I put a question out there on some of my social media, and the question is this: are you still asking why, or do you already know? Are you still asking why, or do you already know? Now, you might come up with a phrase, or have heard people say, that's just the way it is. And that statement absolutely could be true. But here's the thing with that statement. If you stay in that mindset, curiosity will be stunted. And curiosity is really key to our personal growth. So be very careful in using phrases like that's just the way it is, or I know that, it's kind of just same old, same old. Be very careful, because that may be an indicator to the fact that curiosity has been stunted within you. All right. Now, why is curiosity so important? Curiosity, and I have it here, is being aware of how the world is impacting you and how you are impacting the world. I'm going to say that one more time. Curiosity is being aware of how the world is impacting you and how you impact the world. It really is connected to you being a solution, and you being and becoming more aware of the fact that you are the solution. And if you are not the absolute solution directly, you are the solution indirectly by being able to point to the solution, right? That's one. Two, curiosity is so important because it literally points to and makes us more aware of the superhero and the superpower that we possess, right? I'm a big Incredible Hulk kind of guy, or Spider-Man. Those are my two kind of superhero individuals. And I remember being small and really knowing and understanding that there was a power that was at work on the inside of me. Didn't necessarily know how to walk that or express that power. And so I would ask a ton of questions, right? And I remember even as a child asking a ton of questions, and some of you may even have small children or have had small children. I am a father, I have 3 children, so this is relevant to me as a parent. But I'm talking about as a child when I was growing up. I would ask why questions, and there would be times when I would get on what I would call why binges, and I would just go full bore with the why question. I mean, I could hit 5 to 10 to 15 why questions in a row, to the degree I know I would just overwhelm my mom and dad, and they just couldn't take it anymore. They were trying to just live life and function, and I'm laughing because I know you can relate to what I'm saying right now. And what would tend to happen is my mom or my dad would say, don't ask any more questions, right? And they didn't mean any harm, right? But what had actually happened by emphatically saying don't ask any more questions is that curiosity slowly got covered up and was stunted. And so I stopped asking why, or I would be very careful in asking those why questions. Now, The other thing that I noticed when I was a kid is oftentimes my parents wouldn't have the answer to the question, right? And so I'm asking a ton of questions that they may not necessarily have had the answer to. They didn't know the technical, and because I was trying to get into the technical, the finest, minute point of it, they didn't have that detail, and so they would just say, okay, just shut it down altogether, right? And oftentimes, because I was trying to get something, I just kept going. I didn't like that answer. I kept going and going and going. And I believe today, in your personal growth, there is something that is wanting you. There is the you on the inside of you that wants to keep prodding, wants to keep pressing, wants to keep asking why certain things are the way they are, because it's really pointing to who you are, right? You're asking why things are the way they are because it's really indirectly, or maybe even more so directly, pointing to who you are and the impact that you're going to have in the world. Now, one of the impacts also, I have here regulated learning and independent learning, right? And so this, still staying on this law of curiosity, and curiosity really feeding into learning, and we'll get into that here in a second. But there's regulated learning. So, and these are my definitions that I'm making up. So these are not any coming from anywhere else. So regulated learning, others predetermine the question and the answer. And then I have here independent learning, you determine the question and the answer. Now, I know in college there's independent learning and independent studies and all that. I'm not getting into that. I'm talking about specifically what I just defined here. Regulated learning, others predetermine the question and the answer. Independent learning, you determine the question and the answer. The point I'm making here is this: be empowered in your learning. Be an independent learner. Be empowered in your learning. Now some might say, whoa, you got to be careful. You don't want people to get too far off track. I would say we can get far off track with regulated learning as well as independent learning. So always be accountable in our learning. Kind of walk it out, walk it through, test it, theorize, hypothesize, do what you need to do, but be empowered in your learning process, right? And always, the whole idea of learning is to be the best version of yourself. So always be striving on a daily basis, no matter where you are, to be that best version of yourself. Now, we've talked about curiosity, the law of curiosity, why it's so important, and it stimulates growth, right? And you have to ask why. You have to ask why. And so let's get into it. There are four reasons as to why curiosity is so important. 1 is learning, 2 is discovery, 3 is spontaneity, or being spontaneous, and then 4 is creativity, right? So learning, discovery, spontaneity, and creativity. So learning. What is learning? And we'll go through your definition, and we'll just kind of quick give some synopsis of that and then move to the next. Learning is the process of acquiring new or modifying existing knowledge, behavior, skills, values, and preferences. I'll say that again. Learning is the process of acquiring new or modifying existing knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, and preferences. Now, this learning process is happening all the time. We would say that it's happening in school, but it's happening in life all the time. We're learning new things all the time. And I always caution learning and have learned, right? Oftentimes we operate based on what we have learned, when in actuality, what we have learned is in the past, and what we've learned has gotten us to the point that we are, which is really good, really to understand that point. But in order for us to get to where we desire to be in our current state and more into the future, we have to be learning. We can't always be operating according to what we learned, but we have to be actively learning, right? So curiosity is really to point us to the necessity to always be learning, always be learning. Okay? ABL, always be learning, right? Number 2, discovery. Discovery. Discovery is the act, listen to this, of finding or learning something for the first time. How cool is that to learn something for the first time? Now you know, I'm an older guy, right? And so how cool would it be for me to learn something at 48 for the first time, right? It's really to create life and energy in learning. To learn is to live. To live is to learn, right? And it creates that energy that we're looking for. A lot of times we don't necessarily have the energy, and I would say in part that's because we're no longer learning in that place or space, right? So always be learning because there's life in that learning. There's life in that learning, and there's life in discovery and discovering things for the first time. I remember recently I was having a conversation with my 18-year-old, and as he's living his life, there are things that he thought he knew, but now he's coming to the understanding, man, I don't know, but it's really to create a place of discovery. What is this? What does this mean? Why is this happening? Right? So getting into that why, getting into those whys, really to open up the solution that you are and the solutions on the inside of you. Next, spontaneity. Spontaneity. This is what it means to be spontaneous. Coming or resulting from a natural impulse or tendency. To be spontaneous is to act without effort or premeditation. Woo, that's so good. To be natural or unconstrained, unplanned, right? It's really important that as we are growing and as we are operating in curiosity, that we understand the importance of operating in unplanned territory, to be organic in your learning and organic in your personal growth and development, to really understand that life will bring us to natural places, natural forks in the road, natural jumpstart points at which we must be able to identify these places and spaces in order to keep our learning and our growth happening, right? So we must be spontaneous. We have to be very careful not to find ourselves in places where we always know. We always know. When we always know, we are now stuck. We may not know it, we may not define it that way, but we are stuck. And I would even venture to say that we are no longer learning. When we're not in those unplanned spaces and places on a very regular basis, we are stuck. We are not necessarily, in my opinion, even learning at that point. We've learned it. We know it, right? And there's something to be said of knowing it. I got that. But there's also something to be said of being very aware of what we do not know. All right? And then lastly, creativity. 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 Relating to or involving the imagination or original ideas. Wow. Relating to or involving the imagination or original ideas. This is creativity. Now, creativity, and it says here, especially in the production of artistic work, and you absolutely are an artistic work. You are a work of art, but it really does, for our creativity, from a curiosity standpoint, to really take on full form, we have to invoke the power of our imagination, because in that place and space is an original idea. And it might not necessarily be original for anyone out there. It's an original idea for you. It's a new learning for you. It's a new place and space for you. And it's in your creativity, that's going to kind of spark this curiosity, or your curiosity is going to spark this creativity, so that you can come up with this original idea for yourself. Okay? So here it is, tapping into what it means to be you. This is creativity. Tapping into what it means to be you. That's that creativity. And tapping into the positivity that you bring to the world. And I'll finish with this. What if? What if? Right? Think about that question. What if? What if you are the solution? What if that question that you have is the right question that's going to break you, break your family, break your company, break your organization, break your friends, break your relationships into a totally new place? What if? Right? Again, thank you so much for being here with me. Again, my name is Darryl Brown with Jumpstart Coaching and Development Solutions. If you have not subscribed already, please do subscribe. Hit that like button as well. Hit the bell so you're notified when I do upload videos. Again, thank you. We'll see you back here next week. We'll talk soon.